Before we start today's video, check out our merch shop, linked in the description down below. Use code Ahsoka in all caps to get $7 off your order. May the Force be with you, and enjoy the vid.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have got more wind about The Mandalorian Season 4. We of course are going to go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video we are going to be taking a read from StarWarsNewsNet.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below. Hey, we also have our merch shop up live and running with a couple cool designs on there that you might find as the perfect holiday gift for a loved one. Hey, not to mention that we also have some promo codes for you guys to get some cash out. Go check it out. Anyway, so for those of you that may not be in the loop necessarily of what's going on with The Mandalorian Season 4, last that we did hear about The Mandalorian Season 4 officially coming from many of the cast and crew members, giving us a bit of tidbits and teases here, is that for one, well, Katie Sackhoff will be returning as Bo-Katan Kryze in The Mandalorian Season 4. That's not to say that she's going to be taking up the show or stealing the show by any means, of course, as well. Another thing, a bit of a detail and tidbit that she had also recently revealed is that she had no intention of ever trying to even steal the show. That wasn't never in the intention or in the scripts coming from Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni that, oh, we're going to use Bo-Katan to replace Din Djarin. So I have a whole other video about that here on the channel, discussing and talking about that, but that's besides the fact. I think the fact is that she will be returning for The Mandalorian Season 4 for, well, an episode or two, but probably won't be playing as much of a prominent role, especially given that quote-unquote soft reboot that we did see at the end of The Mandalorian Season 3's finale. And that has to do with Into the Regards, of where we see the different storylines and threads kind of cleaned up and brought to a closure, with Bo-Katan and the Night Owls and that Mandalorian covert living their life happily and ever after over on Mandalore as they look to take on and rebuild Mandalore for what it once was. Same thing goes for the Armorer and her covert as well, all those weird Mandalorians that don't like to take off their helmets. Although I will say, down the road in the future, maybe not The Mandalorian Season 4, but maybe The Mandalorian Season 5, or for whatever other projects that they do have up their sleeve there over that Dave Filoni may have, is that some type of Mandalorian civil war could be breaking out. Anyway, that's besides the point. Aside from that, pre-production is currently ramping up, and filming overall for The Mandalorian Season 4 looks to take on in January of next year, 2024. Something else confirmed by The Mandalorian stunt double, Brendan Wayne himself, who is usually, I might find this a bit strange, but is actually the Mandalorian. Like, he is in the suit alongside with Lateef Crowder as a stand-in of The Mandalorian, usually about 90% of the time of the show, and 100% of the time of Season 3, as Pedro Pascal never even set foot on set of The Mandalorian Season 3, as he was too busy filming the HBO's The Last of Us. And unfortunately, into those regards, you may find it unfortunate, is that he'll be doing the same thing for HBO's The Last of Us Season 2, as that also takes the look on filming in January of 2024. That's something that's a common theme with a lot of other projects going on in Hollywood, shows, movies, and everything in between, especially given the strikes that had been going on for just about the entire year. This year, many of those studios are looking to begin their productions, shows, movies, and everything in between, as I had mentioned, in the new year of 2024, January. But as I had mentioned, same thing goes for The Mandalorian Season 4. In other news, though, into the regards of The Mandalorian Season 4, and something that I'd like to kind of debunk a little bit more, but we do have more information about it, is that we've recently caught wind of that, well, The Mandalorian Season 4 is all of a sudden going to be rewritten into a movie, and it just doesn't seem to be true whatsoever. There's just nothing that we can really use to back it. This is also something else that we did discuss here on the channel already in a separate video. You can read from StarWarsNewsNet.com, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video. I have their article linked in the description down below. This section was originally supposed to be highly ironic, putting the spotlight on the latest story that took the internet down a crazy path, well, the Star Wars community. This week, however, we actually had some shocking news that requires a lot of discussion at that. On Friday, during the latest episode of the Hot Mic podcast, reporter Jeff Snyder, insider, who co-hosts with John Rocha, dropped a Star Wars bombshell on the internet. He's hearing that in the aftermath of the dual strikes with the actors and the writers this last year, is that Lucasfilm is thinking about retooling the scripts for the 4th season of The Mandalorian and instead going to be releasing the story as a movie instead. And, well, as I had mentioned, if they look to be filming in just a couple of weeks in the new year of January 2024, they would have had to have already done this like 3 months ago, and there's just no way, seeing that the strikes had ended like a month ago. And even at that, there just doesn't seem to be much of a reason to, as of why why they would want to rewrite it into a movie. I think if for anything, we would have caught wind about this officially from Lucasfilm at the beginning of this year at Star Wars Celebration, of where they had announced 3 other Star Wars movies by James Mangold, who would be discussing and discovering and telling a story of the Dawn of the Jedi, Daisy Ridley and her return to as Rey Skywalker in her own spin-off movie, and then also Dave Filoni's Mandoverse Cultimation movie. But if this is so, that The Mandalorian Season 4 would be rewritten into, well, a movie, that could become the next Star Wars movie out, even before the Daisy Ridley-led film that we were just discussing. Before we go any further though, let's make sure and make something clear. From my understanding as their article reads, this does not mean that the New Jedi Order era film would be pushed back, or is that in any sort of a trouble would be of cancellation. At least not yet, that we know by the history now. Both projects are completely separate from each other and will be filmed in different places, and there isn't a lot of crossover between the creatives behind them. Should the Mandalorian movie come out first though, Season 4 that is, not Dave Filoni's Mandoverse Cultimation movie, making that clear is that these two ideas are two separate things. There's Dave Filoni's Cultimation movie, and then there's this fake Mandalorian Season 4 movie, which just, I don't buy it, like, whatsoever, if that isn't clear. However, for discussion's sake, let's assume that this is true, for some of the reasons I'll lay down below, combined with the fact that they've heard critics about a return to set for Jon Favreau and his gang, when most other major Hollywood productions have already announced their coming back date. StarWarsNewsNet.com does believe this rumor. At first glance, though, the movie makes no sense. The Mandalorian is Disney Plus's flagship title, and it's all the more reason for why would they want to make it into a movie. So one would think that they would want to have that running as long as possible. Even more so, there is not a lot of precedent to back up the fact that a movie following up a TV show could do the numbers that a Star Wars movie is required to do in theaters. The budget would probably be lower than the sequels, but still, there's clearly more than meets the eye here, so let's try to break it down with a couple different possibilities. The most obvious explanation is that Disney wants a Star Wars movie out in theaters as soon as possible, actually. The strikes have forced them to push back several other projects, both on Disney Plus and within theatrical releases, and the easiest way out is to turn on the already proven Mandalorian show itself into a feature film. The show is planning to start shooting in October of this year, ahead of the strikes, and it is likely still to release in 2025. So everything was already kind of ready, but also reworking some of the scripts and removing some fluff, filler. The Lucasfilm leadership might have thought that the story worked just as well as a movie actually, which they can produce for a similar release window, if not that, in a quicker time span. This is also a well-oiled machine by now, after all. Now, this article goes on for a bit more, and as I had mentioned, I have it linked in the description down below. It's a 50-50 if I make a follow-up video into the regards of what the rest of this article has to say, but as I've kind of mentioned plenty of times in and out of this video, is that I just don't buy this Mandalorian Season 4. Now, there's the reasons for why that this could be a possibility, and for why they would even want to do it, why it would be in their favor of like, oh shoot, we have to put out a Star Wars movie, we have to fast track these because of the strikes and a lot of things being pushed back and X, Y, and Z kind of scenario, and also for Disney and Star Wars it being its biggest franchise, one of its other biggest franchises alongside with Marvel. If you're a Marvel fan, we have a Marvel channel linked in the description down below, but at the end of the day, I just don't buy it. There doesn't seem to be any credibility to it, really. There's reasons to do it, but there's nothing backing it necessarily. So with that, I'm debunking The Mandalorian Season 4, quote-unquote, movie. This all being said, guys, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about this? Would The Mandalorian Season 4 work better as a movie? Why or why not? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.